Hi everyone, it's myself again, and I'm just back from shopping. Back before COVID, didn't really want to go shopping, didn't like shopping, but with COVID here, shopping's basically a day out. It's great, you get out and meet people, and I was over at the post office there, and I was telling the girl in the post office all my business. She had really no interest, but who else am I going to tell it to? I've been stuck in the house for when was the last time I was out? Well, I've been out, but nowhere's been open since Boxing Day here in Northern Ireland. Over in England, the kids are back to school. Over here, it's only P1 to P3. I really don't know. We're a small island, and there's only been like 1 or 2 deaths a day, and there's more deaths in England, and the rules are different. It's just crazy. I don't know. But anyway, never mind that. Today we're going to talk about rest and heartbeat, but not just rest and heartbeat. Heartbeat in general. For example, at Christmas, I had COVID at Christmas for a week, and I knew it was something because my heart rate. I was lying watching television, and all of a sudden I felt really, really cold, and then I started shivering, teeth chattering, and put a duvet over myself, and I still felt cold. And I don't want to be rude or anything. I hate even saying the word, but I had diarrhea as well. And anyway, I've got my Fitbit, and what I did was put my Fitbit on. I mean, my heart rate was 135. I remember whenever I had the heart attack, and I was told if my heart rate went over 120 when I was doing extreme exercise, to sit down and sort of bring that rate under 120, because it was dangerous for your heart rate. But my heart rate at my age, there's a different variance the younger you are. But anyway, it was 135. Now, this happened on the Monday. On the Tuesday, my heart rate was still 135. I'd sent away the home kit for COVID, and it came back that I had COVID. But my heart rate then came down to like 115, and then 110. And then it came back to normal. But that was my heart rate telling me. I mean, there's no signs. Basically I just had diarrhea. So the diarrhea and high heart rate, the shivering and all that there, that went away after the first day. So, I went round, got the Oralite and all that there. And thankfully God spared me, and I'm still here to tell the tale, and tell you the tale as well. But your heart rate now, I remember before my heart attack, and I was at my first aid course, and the guy that was doing the first aid was saying about your rest and heart rate and how important everybody's heart rate was. So I was in the class, I was sort of about 60 at the time. No, sorry, I was 53. And anyway, there was all young ones in the class, and it was good, we all had a good laugh. But they actually specialised in heart attack, which was good considering I was to have a heart attack about a month or so later. But they took everybody's rest and heart rate, and believe it or not, my rest and heart rate that day was 66, which is, it's not only normal, but that's good for someone of that age. A rest and heart rate, a rest and heart rate in that range between sort of 64 and 69 is excellent. But it didn't mean anything really whenever you consider 2 months later I had a heart attack. So, it's best keeping a check on your heart rate, because one important thing I tell you, and I learned this after the heart attack, the thing that your heart is alright through your heart rate is whenever you're exercising. Now, I'm going to tell you my heart rate now. My heart rate right now is 83. By my Fitbit there, it's 83. It was 77 a minute ago. So your heart rate can really jump. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stand here. You're going to see me. I'm going to jog for a bit. Excuse the belly. I will be doing a video again, obesity, believe it or not, because I need to lose a couple of stone. But I'm just showing you because I'm not fit. I haven't been. I've been lazy during COVID. But I want to get out, get walking, get back to the gym. And my main exercise that I like is swimming. Right, now there's only a short exercise. and my heart rate is 108, right? 109, 110. Now, that's at 110. That's jumped from 70 odds to 110. Now, as I sit here talking to you, the pointer as to whether your heart is healthy is within a couple of minutes of it being 110, your heart, your breathing, your heart rate should come back down again within 5 minutes of an exercise like that. If it doesn't, then you would have a heart problem. And just a disclaimer here, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not, I always say I don't look like a doctor, but you'd be surprised what a doctor looks like these days. But I don't have any medical knowledge or anything like that. But believe you me, just because I don't have any medical knowledge does not mean I can't give you good advice. Advice that maybe one day, you'll be noticing your heart rate. I'm sure loads of you have got Fitbits and smartwatches. You're bound to have. But if you don't check, if you're not feeling well, or you're out exercising, you come back, but out of breath and so on, as I say, my heart rate's 110. Was 110 there, just doing that small bit of exercise. Imagine you're in the gym and you're going around the gym and you're doing the weights and you're on the tread. I don't like the treadmill. I find the treadmill boring. You're on the treadmill. You're going away. You're on the rowing machine. I like the rowing machine. I've got one in the house and I've done a video on the rowing machine. You should watch it. In fact, I'll actually I'll post it at the end. I linked it. But you do the rowing machine, or else. There's so many other exercises in the gym. You just lose count. Personally, I like a good swim. What's not to like about a good swim? You go swimming and you're stretching your arms. It's just all that feeling under the water. You're pushing against the water and so on. You don't realise how you're building your muscles and strengthening your heart. But swimming was the exercise I did for a couple of years after the heart attack, and I actually lost a good bit of weight. And I remember my two daughters and all, my son saying how healthy I looked, which is quite surprising because you don't get compliments like that from my family. I don't really think anybody gets compliments from their family. But as I say, the main thing to watch in heart rate is the fact that whenever you exercise, it will go up probably. Now, the highest mine has been was when I hadn't exercised in a while and I went out for a long walk and it was a big hill and it got up to about 140, and it sort of scared me a bit, but then I realised I wasn't fit, I wasn't keeping myself fit. But when you come back from that exercise and you're 140 and you sit down just like this, and you're doing basically nothing, all I'm doing is talking. There's not much exercise talking. So as I say, my heart rate was 110. Now, when I check my heart rate now, I would expect it to be in the lower 80s. And I'm going to check it right now. Yep, I don't know if you can read it, but it's 84. So it's dropped from 110 to 84. Now, that's a healthy heart. So it is a healthy heart. If you're doing exercise and your heart rate goes right up to about 120, 130 doing exercise, and then it drops right back down to the normal level within 5 minutes, your heart is healthy enough. If your heart was sort of like 140, 130 doing exercise, and then 10 minutes later it was still at 140, I think the doctor would need to have a wee sort of check up with you just to see, because 100%, I was told that at the hospital, read it many times on the internet, and it is one of the sort of telltale signs that your heart rate, isn't fine. But another thing is with your heart rate as well, it can sort of tell whether you need a pacemaker or not. I've been told this isn't my sort of scientific, that if your heart rate goes down too low, to say 54 or something like that there, I mean, there's athletes, there's a guy in my work, he's an athlete, and his heart rate has been sort of in the 40s, but I mean, he's fit, whereas if my heart rate was to drop to the lower 50s, I would go and see the doctor. But I would probably notice signs of that, because with a very, very low heart rate, I would probably be feeling sort of lightheaded and stuff like that, because the heart's not beating the blood around at a regular rate. You get to know your heart rate. My normal heart rate would be around about the mid-70s. That's sort of walking about and work and stuff like that, or sort of sitting here chatting. It's 78 now. Wasn't far off, was it? But my resting heart rate when I'm watching a movie or something like that there is always around about 65 or 66. Now, one of the ways to bring your heart rate down is water. If you don't drink a lot of water and you're sort of dehydrated, your heart rate will be up. Definitely up. Water is very important in your life. I don't think a lot of you realise how important water is. Water is one of the most important things within your body, and especially for your heart. So I mean, it's the same with your blood pressure, and it's same with the heart rate. Water is very, very important in balancing your heart rate and your blood pressure. So always make sure during the day. I mean, even if I'm out driving in the car, the wee thing you have where the cup is in your car, I always have a wee small bottle of water. So if I'm sort of going along and, I'm feeling a wee bit tired or sort of, I'm the terrible one for checking my heart rate, I really am. I just, have a drink of water. Same in work. In fact, I would make it a routine every 2 hours, have a wee cup of water. Forget about the tea. Well, don't forget about the tea. I always have a cup of coffee in the morning, and then I would have tea during the day. But luckily enough in my work, we have one of those cold water machines, and I always make sure to hydrate myself. That's why if you're sort of drinking on a Saturday night and you wake up on a Sunday morning, you take your blood pressure. It's going to be high. You take your heart rate. It's going to be high, but it's not going to be that high. Alcohol will raise your heart rate, and they say alcohol is bad for you, bad for your heart. The main reason alcohol is bad for your heart is if you binge drink, it will raise your blood pressure, and blood pressure is of course the silent killer. They call it the silent killer because most people don't know what their blood pressure is. That's why I'm saying to use always make sure and be aware of what's happening with your body. Check your blood pressure once a week. I checked mine last night, and as I say, it was high last night. I don't know if you watched the video. If you didn't, check it out. It was actually 160 over 100. But later on that night, it came back down to 125 over 88. So it was all right. If it had been high the rest of the night and this morning, I would have maybe checked it out. But I think what had happened was I'd been in work all day and I didn't really have any water, and I was slightly dehydrated. But as for the heart rate, if you're sort of young, sort of in your 30s and you're fit as anything, or 40, your heart rate during the day would probably be in the 80s, because as you get older, the blood isn't pumping as much. Unfortunately, as a human being, we're basically like a car. As your car gets older, it needs an MOT. As you get older, you need an MOT. I need an MOT. As you approach sort of 60, you're still quite fit at 60, I can tell you that. At 66, I still feel the same as I did when I was 18. Mentally, anyway. My body, I still feel fit after the heart attack, mind you, and touch wood, I have quite a few more years in me. But I'll have a few years in me by keeping on top of things, which is what a lot of you should do. So, I don't know, but you see, my Fitbit now, it was expensive enough, but you can get a smartwatch on the likes of Amazon or anywhere. You can get a smartwatch for about £12, and it'll tell you your heart rate as you're walking. It'll tell you your heart rate while you're sitting, tell you your heart rate when you're walking, but the resting heart rate around about the 60s. Bad heart rate would be over 120. Normal heart rate for the likes of my age would be 60s, 70s. In a young kid now, sort of child growing up, sort of, in their sort of pre-teens, teens, their heart rate would be 100 because they're fit, and their hearts are beating like anything. Whereas as you get older, your heart rate starts to slow down. So the main thing, as I say, one thing, one thing to watch out for and to test your, in fact, see if you've nothing to do right now and you have a smartwatch, check it out and see how fit you are, right? Just do what I did, jog up and down for about 5 minutes, and that's if you've got a smartwatch, right? Jog up and down for about 5 minutes or so, check your heart rate, and it'll be about 100 and whatever, and then sit down. Just sit down like that for 5 minutes, right? And then check your heart rate again. And if it's in the 70s or 60s, then you know that your heart's functioning really well, because that is what should happen to a normal heart whenever it's exercising. It should go right up till about 120, 130, and then when you sit down, if your heart's functioning right, it'll come back down within 5 minutes till about the 70s, just like mine did. And if you do that and check that all the time, you know, you'll be in touch with your body. And I think that's a good saying, to be in touch with your body, because it'll protect you in years to come, and you'll know when something is going wrong. But enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll be back tomorrow. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to make a video on tomorrow, so if any of you are sort of wanting a video made or wanting to ask any questions, feel free. I'm on a couple of Facebook groups who let me actually post my video on their sites, and I would like to thank them again for allowing me to post my video on their Facebook group. It's much appreciated, and there are members that sort of leave comments as well about their experiences, and thank you very much for that as well. I really appreciate it. My little channel is growing slowly. I have 12 subscribers now, and I would, you know, if you have a YouTube account, I would much appreciate it if you would maybe subscribe to my channel and listen to me every day. You know, what can I say? I might say something that might hold your interest, or you might at the end of it turn me off before I even finish, or you might say, God, he's boring. If I'm boring, leave a message, tell me I'm boring, and well, loads of people have told me I'm boring, but that's the least of what they've told me. Thank you very much for watching. Keep an eye on your heart rate. It might save your life one day. You take care. All the best. Bye bye.